My name is Dr. Ku MacMahan. I'm team lead for Securing Water for Food, which is housed in the Global Development Lab at USAID with partnerships with Sweden, the Netherlands, and South Africa.
Hello, my name is Marion van Schaik. I'm working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands. And we are working together with USAID and SIDA of Sweden and South Africa, the Department for Science and Technology, on this program, Securing Water for Food, the Challenge.
Started in 2013, the Securing Water for Food program has been identifying, rewarding, and supporting innovations that will help produce more food with less water and make more water available for producing, processing, and distributing food. The program, a grand challenge, is supported by the US, Dutch, South African, and Swedish governments.
So for you, and for the Netherlands, what are like the big things that you guys hope that this will achieve or will get out of it?
To achieve out of the program, for us, the most important is that we are sourcing innovative ideas that can bring about better water efficiency in the food chain. So in agriculture, but also in processing and water storage, and working on making salinized lands available again. So those innovations, they need a push. I mean, they are there. There are lots of ideas around in heads of people, and they just don't make it to the market. And I think that this push to bring them to the market so that they are on their own feet, that is an important stage to try to push them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like about our partnership is the focus on sustainability. Yes, there are a lot of innovations out there. Yes, they can all do a bunch of good things. But how many of them have the organizational sustainability, the business sustainability, think about the environmental piece, and are really trying to improve the lives of others and alleviate poverty? And so that's, I think, around that sustainability focus is where we all kind of met in the middle. As Sweden has brought in this focus on gender, which we all agree on is something we should have been focusing on from the beginning, but we're glad we're doing it now. And we, honestly enough, as we just saw in the videos, we were looking outside of here, we can see it in what they're doing. They see it, and so it's good that we're highlighting it across the program.
Yeah, I think that was also nice, the way we set it up. When we are assessing all the proposals that are coming in, we look to the three categories in combination. So we have the sustainability category, so how is it embedded in the local situation? Who are your local partners? But we also look at the technical feasibility and the innovation part and the business model. So it's without one of those, actually it can't be sustainable, it can't fly.
There's a lot of claims around water savings in agriculture and people claiming to do it, but nobody's proving it. And so what we're requiring our innovators to do is prove it. And we're providing them technical assistance to help them prove it, but it's something that most people are claiming but aren't showing, and we're trying to make sure they show it.
It's not easy to show because, I mean, it's for some of these innovations, it's like a complex of actions that they are taking to achieve water efficiency. So it's very hard to prove, but I think we can make an effort to help them to indeed record that.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself some area that we're still missing here in the grant?
So I think that the things that have been most interesting to me is that we've covered data and intelligence with the weather stations and with Ignatia AB and with the drones with Future Water. We've covered crops with quinoa and potatoes and what they're doing in Egypt. We've covered water efficiency with real gardening and some of these other processes. And we've even got aquaponics now with our folks in East Africa. But the one thing I think we're still missing and that I'm interested in is around, as if people are really moving to cities and we're going to have to become more sustainable with that, that urban farming piece, and how do you do that? And that's something we haven't seen yet. And so I think we've heard one or two proposals which, weren't fully formed, but, around how to do that efficiently, I think is one area.
I remember we got a proposal from Brazil
exactly.
on this issue. No, that's true. That is a very important subject. That is true. We have to go towards sustainable cities. But on the other hand, what I really like about this program is that, I mean, it started maybe from the water sector in our minds and in our own governments, but it is really across with the agricultural sector. And what you see also, there's innovations that are coming from the social media side and the data business and things like that. So we draw in several sectors. I think that is nice. So that's already a step ahead, because those are sectors that are not talking to each other a lot. So this brings them together, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think with the Innovation Investment Advisory Committee that looks at that sustainability, business viability, and the innovation technical piece, and those experts who, as they told us, they talk separately, but they rarely, if ever, they talk together. So I think them having that conversation brought us stronger innovations that we're supporting.
Well, do you see any trends in the innovations that we identified over the last 3 rounds? Yeah.
So I think that we purposefully try to source all different kinds of innovations, and yet even with that we have groups of innovations. So we have our salt tolerant crops because they're addressing our salinity issue. We've got the water reuse and efficiency piece around the drip irrigation and the fertigation in the soil, evapotranspiration, and then we've got those that are kind of just in that technology information space. And so how do you get farmers to make better decisions with better data, whether it be weather data, whether it be because they get drone monitoring of infrared of their sites, or whether it would be the weather stations in either Peru or in East Africa. So I think those are 3 areas that I think we're really covering and hitting. And I also think the way in which they do things is slightly different than others. So they, as I just heard from someone else, they're inspiring because they're so dogged and determined, and so they're facing obstacles in country about how much money they have, how much government support they have, etc. And even with all of that, every single one of them across all of them are moving forward. And so I think that's what inspires me about what they're doing, and makes me happy to come to work every day.
Do you know how some of the past winners are doing?
Yes, so I think what we found is, surprisingly, this is an innovation program, and when you go to the private sector and you're working on investment, you expect one of your 10 investments to really go through after a year or so. And so for us, that was our expectation, as you remember, as we started. And what was surprising to me is that, we had 1 out of 10, we thought we were going to make it. We actually had 7 out of the first 10 make it, and right now we're at 9 out of the first 13, and so that is impressive in itself. But what does that mean as far as specific innovators? So Real Gardening, having reached 300,000 people in South Africa and beyond, it means practical action. We were talking about with the sandbar pumpkins, reaching 750 farmers, having over 1,000 tons of pumpkins produced, and that around that innovation. Future Water, which we thought was a pie in the sky idea with the flying sensors, and we didn't think they'd be able to get off the ground, that they've been able to make it into Mozambique, get government approval, and working with at least 2,000 farmers, maybe even up to 15,000. I think 2 or 3 others that were surprising to me. Because I remember when we were looking at adaptive symbiotics, we were like, man, maybe this thing's too good to be true. It's like, is this thing real? And like, man, this is just crazy science. But the reality is it works. And, it wasn't just in America. They also are working in India. And so hopefully they'll get the government approval in India and Kenya and South Africa and Argentina. But if they can, and they, with this new deal with Incotech that they've got, those seeds could be everywhere in a couple of years.
Yeah, so it means that there's quite a bunch of people that are believing in them. So that shows that it can work.
Yes, exactly. And so we're funding some things that are a little bit, they're tried and true, and they've got a little bit more. And then we were funding a few things that are like, man, that's way out there, but if it works, it'll be crazy. And I think NuSil and adaptive symbiotics and Future Water are kind of way over here. And then you've got like the Real Gardenings and the practical actions that are on the other side.
Yeah.
So do you think like there's anything really exciting in this round? We bear in mind that, like parents, all children, we love all our children equally, but, sometimes some are more excited for one moment in time, and then sometimes they just have longer sustainability and duration. So, with that in mind, what are some of your favorites so far?
Yeah, well, in principle, most of the ones that came from developing countries I really like, because I think, it's exciting to see that in these countries there are incubators, there's young innovators, coming up with proposals. And then, one of the specific ones that I like is M-fodder. And I know you like it as well,
Yes.
because it brings together like this mobile technology in a country, Kenya, where you combine this mobile way of communicating with production methods on aquaponics.
I think one of the interesting categories that we have now that we didn't used to have is around like the soil. So we've got like the buried diffuser, we've got SWAR, which basically is water directly at the plant, we've got the Groasis water box. So they're all kind of working beneath the surface, which is something we've never really thought about before, but it's kind of come out of the second round. It'll be interesting to see.
In the first round we had the sandbar as well.
That's true.
Which
We had
is
the
a very
sandbar.
nice one.
Yeah, and I think that was an unexpected surprise, honestly, in the way that they were able to get farmers to both make the pumpkins in the sandbars, doing it more sustainably, using less water and pesticides and fertilizer, but also the economic benefit that's come out of it, with these farmers repaying the loans. That was something I did not expect when we started.
So in a few years from now, where do you see the program have come?
So here's my hope. So I don't know where we'll be, but here's where I hope we'll get. I hope that we'll have at least 40 or 50% of our innovators making their milestones year to year. I hope that we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of farmers and others benefiting from the work, either as customers, as people who are getting the food, or as people who are employees of these different organizations that are moving forward. I hope that we're saving hundreds of millions of gallons or liters of water. I hope that we're working in all of these different countries, and that the governments are behind these things, and that other businesses are working with our organizations. My hope and expectation is that because of the work that we're doing, other people start to take a look at the big picture issue around water and food, and thinking energy as well, and how we have to be sustainable if we're really going to feed the coming 9 billion with more resources, and we're really going to improve production by more than 100%. So I really hope that our innovations are kind of a clarion call for the world, and really in all of these countries they start to become really successful. It remains to be seen, and that's why we do the milestones of how